Hello everyone, and welcome back to part 4 of my cholangiocarcinoma journey. Now, if you don't know who I am Mom, or Kay from Millennial and Mom, and I'm documenting my journey of cholangiocarcinoma to share with others who may have experienced this as well, or maybe for caregivers or caretakers, or for those of you who just might be new to hearing about cholangiocarcinoma, since it is in the United States one of the rare cancers that just about 8,000 people are diagnosed. So that does put it in the rarer category. Okay, so now I'm back from my visit to UCLA. So if you saw part 3, it was me going to UCLA to see if I was a candidate for possible liver transplant surgery. And what I learned was that the liver transplant surgery, if you have cholangiocarcinoma versus just like a hepatitis C or maybe cirrhosis of the liver, I was told by the doctors that insurance companies don't necessarily like to approve you for this type of surgery if you have cancer, but they're known to do it again on a case-by-case basis based on your prognosis. So I found that very, very interesting. Now, while I was at UCLA, I met with 2 doctors who specialize in cancers of the liver and around the liver region, which would be the liver, the bile duct, gallbladder, and I guess just different areas that pertains when cancer metastasizes or just goes around, or any issues there, because the name of the office I went to was the Flager Institute, which is located on the campus of UCLA. So they went over all my scans, all my hospital records from the time I was diagnosed from May 2021 through now. I mean, they had operative reports, they had all my MRIs, they had all my CAT scans, all my EKGs, all, you name it, they had it. And what they told me was, again, I am a candidate for this liver transplant surgery, but now they want to discuss with their colleagues, which is about 5 to 7 other people, in front of a tumor board. That's what they call it. And what they do as a tumor board, they go over all the information they have based on you and what you presented for them to review, to see if there was anything else that needed to be addressed that you were going through. And what they told me was that normally cholangiocarcinoma, they call it, or what one particular doctor called it, is like a poison ivy. That, you know, even though poison ivy, you don't necessarily get anything from it until you touch it, you know, like the itch or a rash or whatever. They're not saying I would get an itch or a rash, but it was they called it or referenced it like a slow growing vine that can grow in silence. And they consider that a dangerous attribute of cholangiocarcinoma, that even though, you know, for now, for some people, including myself, that it's stable, but it can grow in silence like a weed on the vine. And if you have cholangiocarcinoma, or if you don't know, or if you're a caretaker or caregiver, cholangiocarcinoma is, you know, part of, you think of it as like a tree branch. You know, the tree branches like shoot out to different places that go into the liver to help digest bile and stuff like that. So I understood their reference, but I've never heard it said to me in that way. But after about a 45-minute consultation, just on the basis of what the tumor board could or couldn't do, or would or wouldn't review, things like that, they said that I would need an MRI of the abdomen, because what they have seen previously before in other patients who have come to them for an assessment is that some cancers have metastasized to the stomach, and cholangiocarcinoma is one of those. And, you know, that had me a little bit concerned, because the scans that I've had done, you know, of course, with contrast, you get PET scans of your whole entire body. None of them ever said that there was any issue with my abdomen. But since the one particular doctor addressed the fact that it's like a slow growing ivy, poison ivy, I was like, you know, praying that, you know, I didn't have any of this, because no one wants to have any other cancers, no Mets, no anything. You want to have one focused to have the best possible outcome. Okay, so they actually wanted me to have the MRI done within the next couple of days out in California. However, I was unable to, because my trip was to be over the following day to return home, because I had a outpatient surgery scheduled to get my stent out, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But they were able to schedule with my local diagnostic center, where I normally get all my scans done anyway, to have the MRI of the stomach or the abdomen with contrast and without performed. So what happened with that is I went ahead and got that scheduled, and I actually had that scheduled after, like I mentioned, the stent in my bile coming out. So the stent in my bile, again, if you have cholangiocarcinoma or caregiver, or if you don't know anything about it, to help you from being jaundiced or just to help your bile flow even more, they put in a plastic stent that's usually replaced every 90 days. And I was told that some people actually have a metallic or stainless steel stent in if there's a different issue, to have them not come in as freely because of whatever else is going on. Well, I was one of the ones that had the plastic stent put in, and the reason why mine was coming out was because my general surgeon told me that based on my labs, my bile was doing what it was supposed to do over the last consecutive 6 months. Now, remember, I've only been diagnosed 1 year this May 2022. And I was like, are you sure? Because that's the first thing that you pretty much receive, at least for me, except for in the beginning, I had an external stent where it was draining outside my body. Then it went internal maybe 3 months later, and I've had them replaced every 90 days. And even though it's an outpatient procedure, you still have to check in for the hospital. They still put you under an anesthesia. You know, it's still a surgery, regardless if it's like major, but it's still a surgery. And it was truly something that, you know, I don't look forward to any surgery really, except for possibly this liver transplant surgery. But, you know, it's trying. It's very trying on you. It's very wearing, because I don't like being poked and prodded. And I'm sure most of us don't. But when you go through a process, a cancer process, or learning about something like that, you are constantly being, in my words, being poked and prodded. I'm telling you, every week I'm having some type of labs done at least twice a week, and that just gets overwhelming sometimes. But anyways, I had the stent removed, and one of my concerns is turning jaundice again. I said to my general surgeon, so what happens if I turn jaundice? Because now I've developed a complex of constantly looking at my eyes in the mirror, because, you know, that's the first thing you see is jaundice. If something is going wrong, or not necessarily wrong, but something is building back up again. He was like, just plain and simple. He was just like, well, if you get jaundice again, we'll just put it back. And I was like, okay. Like, what can you say to that? He was just so matter of fact of what he was doing and what he has done. So, I just had to go from there. So now 5 days later is my MRI of the abdomen, which is after the stent removal, which, you have to get your IV, you have to go under anesthesia, things like this. And then for this test, you also have, with contracts, you have to get another IV. I mean, I just had one. It's just so much sometimes. There's something called scanxiety, and I'm sure I mentioned it before, probably in video 1 or 2. And that's just being anxious of getting the scan done and not wanting to know the results, but you want to know the results because you don't want to have any other issue going on. Well, now it's a waiting game. 2 days later, I received the results, and when I read the results, it said no metastasize to the stomach. I was relieved. Of course I cried. I cried happy tears. I do that a lot lately. I cry happy tears, or I just cry just from being overwhelmed just from the process, because even though I'm in this stage of my process, some days can be overwhelming just thinking about where I've come from being diagnosed to what test is coming up, to chemo, to the liver surgery, to everything. So now I am waiting on UCLA to call me to come back to see what the tumor board has said. They're going to call me back either way to discuss what the options are and go from there. And I was told that if I am going to get this liver surgery, that I would have to go on a probably completely different chemo program and radiation. Now, one thing I've never experienced before was radiation, so I'm a little concerned about that because I don't know what type of radiation they're going to put me on the treatment plan. I know there's different kinds, and it's quite the journey. I know I say it every video, and I'll never stop saying it. I am just truly grateful. I'm truly blessed of how far I've come. I continue to go further on, and you know, I want to be a testimony. I want you to be a testimony if you're going through the process. This cancer, any type of cancer, cancers are beatable, and I know that, and that is the only hope I'm leaning on and will continue to lean on, other than our Lord and Savior. So, all right. Also, before I end the video for part 5, if you're not aware, we've also set up a GoFundMe and to help with external travel expenses, going back and forth, hotels, because insurances don't cover these things, the hotels and the travel, things like that, they don't cover. And if you're able to donate, it would help offset the cost for me. And for those of you who already donated, I appreciate you so much. Thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. And if you're unable to, that's okay too. Just keep me in your prayers, keep watching the video, support, and share this video with others, because no matter what cancer you're going through, everyone needs an uplifting, positive word to know that there's someone else going through it too, and that they can also have encouragement and know that things can turn around and in a positive way as well for them too. So I really appreciate it. All right, everyone. So thank you so much. Please stay tuned for part 5, which is coming soon, which will be the UCLA update. And thank you all again for watching. And as always, live simply, be grateful.